Good day. I'm Dan Else, and this is another episode of Connecting Culpeper, where we interview the nonprofits in the area so that you can become more aware of who they are, and what they do, and how you can help. Today, I'm interviewing Kathy Butler. She's the executive director of an organization called Girls on the Run, Piedmont, and we're going to explore who they are and what they do and where the girls fit in. Good day, Kathy. Welcome to Connecting Culpeper.
Thanks, Dan. Great to be here.
Okay, let's start with an explanation of exactly what Girls on the Run is, and then we can get into the details of what you do and how you do it.
Okay.
So, can you tell me what is Girls on the Run and what is your position within it?
Sure.
And how did you get involved with this?
Sure. So Girls on the Run teaches boundary setting and healthy self-esteem to girls in 3rd through 8th grade. We're an after-school program. I am the executive director, and my territory covers Culpeper, Fauquier, Madison, Rappahannock, Stafford, Spotsylvania, and Fredericksburg City. I think that answered all of it.
No, you didn't tell me why and how did you get involved?
Oh, yes. So the exciting part. So a long time ago, I'm not going to say exact, well, I guess it was about 15 years ago, I'll say it. My sister-in-law and I were running a 5K one day, and there was a lot of little girls running this 5K. And of course, being a techie, I kind of Googled what was on their shirt. I was like, what is going on with so many kids in a 5K? And I Googled Girls on the Run and found out about their mission of empowering girls and giving them confidence. And at that time, I had a little boy at home, and I was like, this is a great way to go out and play with the girls. So I became involved. I brought it to my son's school. I coached. And then fast forward a couple of years, I became pregnant with my daughter. We decided to move back home to Culpeper because I was living in Northern Virginia when I found them. And my sister-in-law said, hey, I just read in the paper where somebody's bringing Girls on the Run to Fauquier. So I reached out to them and said, hey, I grew up in Culpeper. I just moved back to Culpeper. I'd love to help. So I met the person who was founding the council here locally and said, hey, I want to help. And I started with her right after the first 5K. She became pregnant and decided she did not want to do this, and kind of just left me the ball. And I've just kind of run with it for the past 12 years.
12 years. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you've implied that this was an organization that did not originate in Culpeper. Can you give me the history of the organization in general and a little bit of it in the Culpeper area?
Awesome. Yeah, so it started in 1996 in North Carolina by a woman named Molly Barker, who was a social worker. She also completed some Ironman, but she also had a struggle with alcohol addiction. And she realized that addiction kind of stemmed from the fact that as a young girl growing up, she was told who she should be before she even learned who she was. And she made it her mission to learn to get girls out of what she had coined back then as the girl box. So she wrote this curriculum with 13 or 14 girls in North Carolina, and it just kind of took off from there. Each council for Girls on the Run is now its own little independent council. So we have to do our own fundraising. We have our own board of directors. But like a franchise, we kind of have to pay licensing fees to the national organization. They help us with their curriculum. A lot of things we couldn't do as a small nonprofit. So the Council for Girls on the Run Piedmont started in 2013 in Fauquier County, and it grew from there. When I joined right after the first 5K, we brought Culpeper online, followed by Madison, and then almost the same week, the world shut down. We got permission to expand to Stafford, Spotsy, and Fredericksburg. So it took a little while longer to get a toehold there with the world situation. But every year we have grown, with the exception of that 1 year in the pandemic, year over year. And now we served 400 girls this calendar year, starting out with 43.
Okay. Well, you implied that this is at least a national organization. Are they in every state?
They are in every single state in Canada now, so internationally.
International, that's marvelous. So as I understand it, Girls on the Run is a sort of an umbrella organization, and each of the independent councils is its own organization, but getting guidance and support from the national organization. Is that right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So you say there are 400 girls now that are served throughout your region?
Throughout our territory. We had 31 teams this past fall. Our teams average between 8 and 15 girls. We try to keep it small because we want them to build up that mentorship and bond with the coaches.
So the girls are in what age band or what grade band?
So it's 3rd through 8th grade. So we have 3 different programs. We have Girls on the Run, our flagship program, which is for our girls in elementary school, 3rd through 5th grade. We have Heart and Soul, like the sole of your shoe, for our girls in 6th through 8th grade. And then we have Camp Goter, Camp GOTR, which is for our rising 3rd through 6th grade girls, but it's a 1-week deep dive. So we can do that over like winter break or spring break or over summer.
I see. Are there any qualifications that the girls have to meet other than just their age and grade level?
No, and we can serve girls with physical and emotional challenges as well. We have numerous girls on the autism spectrum. We can modify our physical activities based on girls, in wheelchairs or needing other assistive devices. We give the coaches tips and tools on how to modify to just about any girl. So.
And can you explain the types of programs and projects that the girls get involved in?
So over the course of our program, for our younger girls, they do a community impact project, which is amazing. So in the elementary level, girls are learning that they're part of a bigger community and they want to really impact their community and the world and realize that they can make a difference. So coaches lead them through facilitating their own community impact project. At that age, a lot of times it's for like our local animal shelters. They have a tendency to get overwhelmed that time of year from our girls, but they like to make like animal toys, or they'll do a food collection. One of the little girls recently, they paired up with a coffee shop and they just wrote really inspirational sayings on the little coffee cup sleeves. So when the customers would come in and get their coffee in the morning, they had these cute little handwritten inspirational sayings on the coffee cups. I should have gotten you one. That sounds so fun to me.
Well, I do drink a lot of coffee. Thank you. If a girl wants to get into Girls on the Run, how do they do that?
So they would go to our website, gotrpiedmont.org, during one of our 2 seasons. We have 2 seasons in the spring or in the fall. And her parents would register her. Our maximum registration fee is $175, but it is a pay what you can. We're a nonprofit. We don't turn anybody away. That's why we kind of fundraise. So.
Okay. So you run on a season schedule, kind of like baseball and football?
Yeah. So our fall season runs from right after Labor Day to our fall 5K, which is typically right around mid-November. And then our spring season runs from mid-February to our 5K in the spring, which is the first Saturday in May.
So there's a 5K involved. So it's not just writing on coffee cup sleeves. There's more to it.
No. So they learn lessons like how to deal with conflict resolution, like I feel when you, because I would like you to, and they learn to use these statements to deal with conflict. They learn how to deal with the negative voice that starts to kick in at about 8 years old that says, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not thin enough. So we give them a bunch of social emotional tools on how to deal with all of this. And over the course, they're integrating that physical movement. So at the end, they're going to complete a 5K. And the reason for the 5K is not to create a bunch of runners. Running is totally secondary to this program, and I spend a lot of time saying that. But it's teaching girls to set these little goals to achieve a big goal. So, 3 miles to somebody that's 8 or 9, or sometimes even somebody as old as me, might as well be 50 miles. They have no concept of it. But they learn that, every week they run a little bit further or they walk a little bit further, and then they can complete this 3 miles. So it is our hope it translates into life. So if a little girl wants to be a doctor, she realizes, hey, all I need to do is pass this math test, and then I need to pass this grade, and then I need to get my high school diploma, and, little baby steps to get to where she needs to do. Interesting.
How are the different seasons, different from one another? You have a spring and a fall season, so how are they different?
So yeah, we have, for Girls on the Run, the flagship program, we have 3 different curriculums that we rotate through. So we have Hello Superstar, which talks about the individual girl and how each girl inside of her has a star. Just like stars in the sky. Her star is always there, but sometimes there's a cloud that covers over it. And we have a really great exercise that teaches her how to blow the clouds away from her star to bring her to star power. Then we have Mountain Mover, which is what we just did this fall, and that's the power to do hard things. So that's about resilience and climbing those mountains and the I can power, which was the theme for this one. And next fall, we will be rolling out brand new Bold Heart, which is learning about agency, how to stand up for yourself, how to stand up for other people is the tool. Then with our middle school girls, we have 2 different twice-a-week curriculums, and they're learning at the middle school age, they're more internally focused. They're learning who they are as they're trying to get away from their parents and get away and be their own person and become an adult. So we teach them that every girl has a girl wheel, and there's different parts of her girl wheel, like her social and her spirit and her heart and her body. And all of these parts of the girl wheel, some days are a little stronger than others, some days are a little weaker. We all have good days and bad days. But they learn that, for example, you would have your own kind of wheel in there. And if you were feeling very social one day, and maybe I wasn't, but maybe my body was really strong, maybe you would be talking through the exercises while I help encourage you to run the laps. So learning to work together in that empathy piece is really important for our middle school girls.
Okay. Can you give, let's see, can you give some examples of projects or programs that the girls have actually gone through, say in the last season or the season before that? So you've explained that there are exercises that the girls engage in to take those little baby steps. Mm-hmm. And this, I take it, is part of a broader curriculum
It's
to
a
move them.
different curriculum. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so what can you define what the end result of a particular curriculum would be? What do you want to see from the girls at the start, and how is that different from what you want to see in the girls at the end?
So we just did a season ending survey, and the parents report that their girls all increased their physical movement just naturally. At the beginning of the season, more than 15% self-reported that their girls spent less than 60 minutes a day in active play or physical activity. That number was 0 at the end of the season. Everybody was engaged in at least 60 minutes of active play every day, which is awesome. They learn confidence, they learn self-esteem, and that connection piece. So one of the exercises I really like for our younger girls was on friendship. So for every lap, because we integrate the physical movement, because that's a great way to trigger your brain too. I don't know if you've ever walked or ran with a partner. You share a lot more with a partner when you're out walking or running than you do just sitting here talking. If we were out here walking laps, we'd probably get more in depth in our conversation. So just naturally, as the girls are doing laps, we integrate that with exercises. They did one on friendship. So every lap, they would write on a poster board what strengthened a friendship, what tested a friendship, and what broke a friendship. And at the end, they realized that they kind of had a different view of friendship. So, for example, if you didn't save me a seat at lunch, I might say, we're done. I'm not dealing with you anymore, Dan. We're done. Where you might say, oh, she had a bad day, and, well, let's do it again tomorrow and try again. So they realized that, even friendship, everybody kind of views it different. And just because one day you might not be feeling it and you pass me by on the street and look the other way, it doesn't mean I'm a bad person or you hate me. Just you might be having some stuff going on. So we teach them that.
Well, it sounds like I probably ought to go through the curriculum.
We're always looking for coaches, and we don't discriminate against men.
Well, that leads me to my next question, which is, if parents or other volunteers want to help, what would you want? What are you looking for, and what would you want them to do?
So we are just looking for anybody who's willing to mentor girls. I tell people all the time, you don't have to be a runner. Our girls are not all skinny little marathon runners. They want to see women and men that they can identify with. So we don't discriminate against the men, but I do ask men to realize that we are a female empowerment program, and that they take that kind of step back and let the female coach be the head coach. And so girls can see that pathway forward, that they can see a female in charge. They don't always get to see that as often as we would like. The other thing is we background check everybody. Everybody that comes in contact with our girl gets a background check every 24 months. Unlike some of the school systems, I do repeat my background checks. I'm also a Google fiend, so I will find you. There is 6 hours of online training that our coaches go through. So they go through darkness and delight, sexual abuse prevention training. They do some greater trauma-informed training. They do training on my curriculum specifically. We have certain ways that we talk to our girls. So we're not a teacher. We're not a parent. We want them to be that cool aunt that you wished you had growing up. So still an adult, There's still some boundaries, but, maybe not sit in your seat and shut up kind of thing. After that, they come and see me or Katie in person for 4 hours where we run through a lesson with them. And sometimes I get to have some fun and I pretend to be a 9-year-old, cause some trouble, just to see how they interact and handle different behaviors.
Okay. You mentioned that it might cost a girl, say, $100 and some odd to go in. Is that hard and fast? And are there any other sources of funding for you?
So it's a maximum of $175, but it's pay what you can. So if a parent during the registration process says they need financial aid, on the last page it'll say what can you afford, and we break that down into up to 3 payments as well. I do set the minimum as $25 because I found out the hard way that if you offer a program for free, sometimes the parents don't take it as seriously and don't show up. But if they call me up and say that $25 is still a hardship, I just take care of it. I set it out when I first took over that I would not turn a girl away. I told my board I'd stand in front of Target if I had to. Luckily, it hasn't come to that, but we rely on community partners and business sponsors and grants and everything to shore up the difference.
Do the girls join for a particular project or event, or do they sign up for a season?
They sign up for a whole season, so it's twice a week for 8 to 10 weeks for our younger girls, and then they can either do twice a week for middle school, or we do have an option of a once a week longer session because our middle school girls have a bigger attention span. I don't think I could hold the attention span of a 3rd through 5th grader for 2.5 hours. Okay.
Good enough. So when they sign up, they're committed for the whole thing, all the way up through the 5K.
Right, because each lesson is going to build on the other. So they're building not only their team, they're building rapport with their coaches, they're learning about themselves, and they're also building up to complete, 35, 45 minutes of running or however long it takes her to do the 5K.
For your volunteers, are all your volunteers your coaches, or do you have other positions for volunteers?
So most of our volunteers are coaches, but we also need a ton of help at the 5K. We had 908 runners for our fall 5K at the Fred Nat Stadium, but out of that, close to 500 were children. So we need a lot of help out on the course. Our 5Ks are also a party. So the girls decorate their bib. They did headbands this year, tattoos. Out at Len Park this spring, we'll probably have the colored spray back, but we didn't do that at the stadium. Too many kids, and I didn't want spray in the eyes. But we do all kinds of fun. We make it a party.
For the people who might want to volunteer, what is the commitment in time for them? We know the girls have got a certain set schedule. What is that then for the volunteers and the coaches?
So yeah, our coaches commit to the lessons twice a week for 10 weeks. And then I say there's about 35 to 45 minutes a week of prep time, reading over the curriculum. Some of our teachers have an easier time with that. They're used to a curriculum, but maybe somebody who has less experience. And then also that commitment to the training. And mid-season, we give them another, I think it's like an hour and a half module about the Community Impact Project and how to facilitate it. So the training twice a week, and then a little bit of prep time. We give them a bag with all of it. They are not out making copies. If there is something that needs copies, it's in the bag. If they need cones, if they need pencils, if they need tape, everything is in the bag for them. So we try to make it pretty much open and go. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it doesn't cost an adult to volunteer?
Nope, we cover all the charges. Katie and I also got CPR instructor certified, so we'll CPR train them. I encourage everybody to get CPR trained, but we do mandate that at least one coach per team be CPR certified in case something happens.
How many coaches would there be on each team?
So we want a minimum of 2 adults present at all times for 8 to 15 girls. I usually tell a team I don't want them to go unless they have 3, because life happens. This way we're not stuck in a situation where we have to call a bunch of parents at 1 o'clock in the afternoon saying, hey, we don't have enough adults to run this team. So.
And the sessions are after school?
Typically after school, but we did have 2 teams that met before school this time. I'm waiting to hear how that went. We just finished up our season, so.
Okay. Oh yeah, you just had your 5K.
Just had our 5K.
Okay. And when will your next 5K be?
It'll be May 2nd, Saturday, May 2nd at Len Park in Culpeper. We actually took over the Wicket Bottom event from Parks and Rec.
When is your next season beginning? In other words, when do they have to sign up by?
So I am going to be opening registration for at least one site probably next week. But I want to try to get it done before Christmas, because sometimes grandparents like to buy that as a gift, go ahead and pay for the season. But our teams start meeting February 16th. So.
And they go all the way through the 5K in May.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like people to know about Girls on the Run?
It's so much fun. If you say Girls on the Run out in public in Culpeper, a lot of times you're going to get that response. So yeah, that's fun.
Okay. Well, I think that's all we have today. Thanks again for tuning into this episode of Connecting Culpeper, and we'll see you next time.